Welcome to the Flutter CICD course over here, and if you want to learn some of the more advanced concept in the Flutter CICD, make sure to check out my course in my website where we will cover all of the topic related to the Flutter CICD with the code magic as well as the GitHub action. So let's go and see what are the topics that we will be covering over here. Let's scroll down. The first thing that we are going to cover is the continuous integration over here, and we will also cover the continuous delivery. Similarly, we will have the continuous deployment over here, and we'll also make use of the code magic YAML file, and we'll also cover the server code push, and then we also have the GitHub action over here. So whole bunch of the topics that we are going to cover with the Flutter CI/CD over here, and I hope you will enjoy this particular course as well as the topics that we have covered over here. I hope to see you. Till then, have a great day. Let us continue with our lesson over here, and in this particular lesson let us try to go and learn how we can manually trigger a GitHub action over here. And it may be useful for some use cases where you want to typically pass in the Flutter version or the branch name, right? So it has some use cases. So if you want to trigger that particular workflow using the API as well, so it will be really useful to use a manual trigger, and you can pass in the different kind of the parameters to it as well. So let us try to go and see how we can actually do that one. So let me duplicate this particular, let me just copy this and paste it over here, and let me just go, or let's just go and delete this one, and I'll make use of the Android and iOS div. So let me just copy this one and let's try to paste it over here, and let's try to go and make use of something like the Android and iOS manual manual manual. I guess the spelling is correct. It may be incorrect as well, right? So manual, I guess that should be correctly fine. So let's try to go and see what we can do. So there is a event over here. So this is on event of the push and then the pull. So event is of the push and then the pull request on this particular main branch over here. That's going to trigger this particular workflow. But what we need is, let's just go and remove this one. We require a different trigger over here that will be of the workflow dispatch over here. Using this workflow dispatch, we can actually manually trigger this particular workflow. Let's try to pass in the let's create a simple one over here so you get an idea and you can utilize this particular section over here. The first thing that I will like to pass over here is the let's say inputs, inputs over here, and in this particular inputs, what I need to pass, let's pass in the branch over here, and this particular branch, let's just go and try to add the something like the description. So let's say DSCRI description, and let's say this is the, I'll just go and give a name over here, something like the description for select your, and I'll just go and select your branch over here, and then I'll just go and say the required as the true, and default, you can have a default option, like you can have a main branch, or you can have a QA branch or the dev branch. So let's set the default branch as the dev for now, and also I can mention the type each of the choice, so which basically means that you have a select option, so you can select a different branch from there, and I'll select the add in the option as the dev main and something like the that's the QA over here. So let's have the QA or test branch, so whatever you prefer to call it. So now we have a simple workflow dispatch, and we need to provide the input over here, and with this input I'll just give a name as the branches over here, or I'll just call it as a branch, branch, branch over here. And the description, select your branch. A required field, this is a required one, right? And the default is type is of the day, a default is div, and the type is of the choice. And we have a different option to select over here, right? And now once we have this particular input over here, so this is the input that user is going to provide, right? So as a parameter, then what we will do over here is, let's go down, and in the checkout section, now I don't have a branch selected over here, so I need to provide the branch over here. So which branch I'm going to check out. So let's just go, and I'll make use of width over here, and this particular width I'm going to make use of the ref and reference to the GitHub, right? Events, and then the inputs. So workflow inputs over here, this is the event that we have inputs, and then the input each of the branch. So this is the input name that we have provided. So if you provide a different one, so make sure you get the correct one over here. So now that is going to give us the correct input that we provide from here, like the whichever branch we select over here. And once we have that, you can also set something like the Java version for that one, right? And if you have a different environments like the flavor, you can also pass in like the you can pass in the Flutter version as well. So different options that you can actually pass in over here as a user parameter, that will be really useful to manually trigger this particular workflow. And I will just go and git add for now, and git commit -m and added manual workflow, and let's just go and git push this particular branch. And I guess we only have the main branch, we currently don't have a different branch over here, right? So let's go back to our GitHub over here, and I think we forgot one thing over here, that is to change the name of this particular workflow, because we already have this particular workflow. So what we need to do is Android and iOS, I'll just go and say manual build div, right? So let's just go, and I'll just go and add the comment. Sorry for that, I need to actually comment this one. So git add, git commit, and then they git push over here. So let's go back over here, and let me open up the workflow over here actually. So it's actually triggering this one. So let me just go and cancel this particular workflow, and so this is the one, right? So let me just cancel all of the build for now, and let's just go and cancel as well over here. So let's try to refresh this one, it's still running over here, but let me just open up this manual over here, and now you will see that run this workflow is triggered. So if you go over here, you get a different one, right? So it's actually triggering that one, it's in progress. So let me try to cancel. So cannot cancel, check the suit that is completed. So I guess we have already cancelled all of our actions. Okay, so it's cancelled already. So let's just go to our manual workflow over here, and now you got the option to actually select now. So branch, right? So branch is the actually the main, so you can have an option to select which one, right? So like the main, QA, right? So whichever you want to prefer. So let's just go and select the branch as the main branch over here, and then run the workflow. So if you add a different option, you can actually pass in the option like the select your branch, you can select your Flutter version, select your Java version, and all of those information you can actually pass in over here. And now you can just go and manually run this one. So now it should be running over here, and let's try to go to our action over here and now it is actually queued over here. So it's going to build, and let's try to wait and see if it completes or not. And let's try to open up this particular build section, and let's just go and see the checkout section. And in the checkout section, I guess it was successful over here. So it's using GitHub checkout action checkout version 4 reference with the main branch over here. That's pretty cool. So I guess we were able to set that one successfully, which is to use the main branch over here. And here finally we go. You can see that the build was successful over here, and this basically now takes the argument from the user. Basically we are passing in the branch over here, but you can obviously go and pass the different the arguments that you would like to like the user to select the branch, Flutter version, Java version, and different all kind of those stuff. So I guess that's all for this particular lesson, and we will meet up in the next one. Till then, have a great day.